everyone, welcome to our first ever Indie Faso virtual tutorial. This is for our DIY kits that we're selling in our holiday shop. So this one is called Anticipation of Joy, which is basically like an Advent candle set that's surrounded by like a tabletop wreath. We have divided our tutorials into two videos. So the first video, we're going to just talk about ingredients, supplies, and how to prep your project, and then which is this video. And then the second video, we will change the camera angle. It'll be more close up, and you can kind of see us like actually making the piece. Before we get into the ingredients, I just want to say real quick, if you want to, we'd love to see your process, your mess as you're making your first piece. With our DIY kit, we just love to see behind the scenes, and so feel free to like tag us, send us an email with pictures, whatever. That would be really fun, and also a picture of your finished piece, of course, would be wonderful. Okay, so ingredients. First off, we will have sent you a bundle of greens. So you should have two different kinds of greens. So the first is just like a pine. Actually, they're both two different kinds of pine. So see, it's a good bit. So you should have plenty to make your wreath, and maybe even a little bit extra for anywhere else in your home. We sent you a piece, like a few pieces actually, of grapevine, a fresh grapevine. And it'll come to you in a circle already, but that form it's just kind of loosely there. It's not in any particular size for you. It was just kind of for travel. So you can undo that and shape it the right size for you, which we will go over later. And then, of course, we have our 4 candles for the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas Day. And then we have a base for those candles, which is basically like a saucer for like a plant, which you could totally repurpose it as after the holidays. But this just sort of protects, it keeps the whole thing together, and it just sort of protects your table from any melting wax or anything like that from the candle. And we also sent you a bundle of moss, which can be used to sort of level out the candles within the base, as well as hide the plastic look, so you just see organic material. Then we also have some embellishments, which are the best part. So we have some berries. These are privet berries. These are fresh, but they'll dry really nicely as well. We also have a dried berry, so no worries if you're like, this is bone dry, it's supposed to be like this. So this is pepperberry. You can get it fresh, but I like the dried one because it looks kind of like a faint pink, like a pinkish red. We also have some dehydrated oranges. You should get about 5 or 6 of these. Mine are already pre-wired, but yours should be loose. And then lastly, we have my favorite, pine cones, which are just a really great way to make anything feel extra fun and wintry. And that's it for ingredients. And then supplies, simple, you don't need a lot, but my favorite is just using a pair of garden clippers. And if you don't have these or anything kind of comparable, you can totally use a pair of hardy scissors. You just probably have to clean them off afterwards with some really hot water, because there is some sap in some of the pine, so it might get on your scissors as well. You just want to give it a good clean afterwards. And then we have some vine wire. We just sent you like a good bit of this. You shouldn't have to use all of this actually, but we wanted to make sure you had enough. This is just like raffia covered, very thin wire, so it's very useful. And I think that is it for your supplies. And then the last thing is just some general tips on prep. Things that I don't always follow my own advice for, which are, if you're gonna make a mess, it's always good to have a piece of paper or something down, or just like an elevated space, I think is helpful. But I mean, I work on the floor all the time, so whichever is good for you is good for you. And so, but you do note that there is some sap in some of the branches, so that's kind of the only reason really that you might want to put something down. And then secondly, I always advise unwrapping everything. So everything came to you in these bunches. The berries came in bunches that are like rubber banded. So you just want to go ahead and unbind everything. Make sure it is just ready to use, easy to grab, in little piles surrounding you is like the best way to go. And then finally, I would suggest pre-cutting a bunch of bind wire. So I kind of do it in two sizes. This is just so that when you're in the process making and you only have one hand to like make something, I don't know, stable, you can just grab it. You don't have to grab scissors and cut it and blah, blah, blah. So this is just a time saver, hassle saver. So like 8 inches, 4 inches, something like that I typically like to have on hand, maybe like 10 each, and then leave the rest of your wire long in case you need any long pieces. And that is it. So we will see you in the next video for actually making everything.